sometimes, maybe exactly when you need it to. Right now, switching to MediShare can save you even more than usual on top of what you'll save each month by becoming a member of MediShare. So many people are looking for a healthcare solution right now, especially given how inflation is affecting us. And MediShare is the affordable, reliable alternative to health insurance. The typical family saves about $500 a month. You might save even more. And MediShare is a Christian community that's been sharing each other's healthcare costs for 30 years now, and they're making it easier than ever. Apply by October 31st, and you can save an additional $150 on your first month. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just tell them the promo code SHARE to get your additional savings. Maybe now is the time to make the switch, like more than 400,000 people already have, and start saving. Here it is. It's 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE, 877-26-BIBLE.
As the war between Israel and Hamas intensifies, a Senate committee holding a nomination hearing to seat a U.S. ambassador to Israel. That nominee, Jacob Lew, who served as Treasury Secretary during the Obama administration.
Jacob Lew assured lawmakers that if he gets the job as U.S. ambassador to Israel, he would ensure that Israel gets what it needs to defend itself amid its war with Hamas, adding that he would work towards peace in the region and prioritize strengthening diplomatic ties between the U.S. and Israel. 3 demonstrators supporting Palestinians were escorted out of the hearing for their outbursts.
Our families are dying! We need a ceasefire now!
Another protester shouted that the U.S. should stop sending aid to Israel. Faith Abube, ABC News, Washington.
An early morning earthquake rattling Northern California.
California now uses a system that sends out earthquake early warnings once shaking is detected. It does not predict earthquakes, but it can send out alerts to those who are far enough away from the epicenter that the shaking hasn't reached them yet. Those warnings went out around Sacramento. It comes one day before there will be a statewide test of that system in what's called the Great California Shakeout.
ABC's Alex Stone. New York City's mayor doesn't speak Mandarin or Yiddish, but robocalls using artificial intelligence make it seem like he's fluent. The mayor announcing his voice is being contorted to use those languages to promote city hiring events. This is ABC News.
Build the custom home of your dreams with Adair Homes. Take advantage of their limited time offer of 4.875% interest rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage when you finance with Adair Financial Services. That's up to $1,200 savings each month. Visit ADAIRhomes.com to find out more. 4.875 interest rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage with a 4.949 APR. Other restrictions apply. Visit AdairHomes.com for additional disclosures. Adair Financial Services, NMLS number 4586.
I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Hello, this is Jim Hagwood, candidate for position number 5 on the Port Angeles City Council. My family and I are lifelong residents of this area and care deeply about the community. My personal and professional knowledge, experience, and leadership will bring much-needed balance to this City Council. I ask for your vote for the future of Port Angeles. Vote for Jim Hagwood for a safe and thriving community.
Paid for by Jim Hagwood for City Council.
I am Jim Hagwood, candidate for Port Angeles City Council. I approve this ad.
Don't waste your money on fake, stale, rancid, or substandard olive oils. At Foghorn Olive Oil Tasting Room, our olives are picked green off the trees and processed in 2 to 4 hours and are full of antioxidants. Enhance your fresh fruits, vegetables, and proteins with our healthy and delicious olive oils, always fresh and never, ever cut with unhealthy fake oils for profit. Foghorn Olive Oil Company, open 11 to 4, Wednesday through Saturday.
KONP News brought to you by RE/MAX Evergreen Real Estate. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. 457-6600. Clallam County Sheriff's Department announcing they will go live with their deputies and on-body cameras beginning November 1st. Sheriff's Office having to get through some technology issues, especially for coverage in the remote west end of Clallam County to make the system work. The Sheriff's Office joining the Port Angeles Police Department and the Sequim Police Department in launching body camera programs this fall.
Here's your Newsradio KONP forecast. Chance for scattered rain showers this afternoon, otherwise partly cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 63, winds out of the northeast around 5 miles per hour. Chance for scattered rain showers again tonight. Lows dip down to about 51, partly cloudy. Chance for scattered rain showers tomorrow. High of 65, cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 58 degrees.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on Newsradio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
And welcome once again to the program. Lots to cover today. First part of the show, it's my pleasure to have Susie Ames back. She's the president at Peninsula College. Susie, great to see you again. Thanks for coming in.
Great to be here.
Last we talked, we were getting ready for school to get started. School has now started. So let's get, and that's why we have you here to get, I know we have a list of things we're going to touch on here in the next half hour or so, but I guess the first question is, a couple of weeks into things, how is it going up at fall quarter for Peninsula College this year?
Yeah, fall quarter's amazing. We did a lot of build it and hope they will come in this past year, and they're coming. So good. Parking lot's full. There's bright, shiny faces on campus, and there's just a lot of really good life and energy there.
And do you think it's because of the programs or not? Or is there a shift? Are people getting reinvigorated with going back to school because the pandemic kind of changed a lot of attitudes about things? What are your thoughts around all of that?
I think it's all of the above.
Okay.
I think that, and if I talk to some of my peers in other parts of the state, they're also seeing an uptick in enrollment. I think there is kind of this notion of trying to get back to a little bit more life as normal, and college is a good part of that. Yeah. Students are taking a combination of online and face-to-face classes. I think that's the new normal since COVID. But I think there's also just a lot of buzz and excitement with our new programs, and a lot more new reasons to look to see what's going on up there.
And we'll tick off on those just in a minute. I do have to ask you about the challenge of kind of doing this hybrid model of things. Everybody, well, you've done it a number of years, you must have it figured out. It does present some real some issues, doesn't it?
It does. There are absolutely students that only want to learn face-to-face. There's students that only want to learn online. There's students that want a little bit of both. And we're not funded that way, to be really frank. You can't offer a class with 3 students here and a class with 3 students there to meet all these different learning styles. So we try to find the sweet spot, kind of class by class, program by program.
Really? Yeah. So So the scheduling becomes even more of a challenge on top of all of this.
It does. We did see a lot of demand as we got closer to the start of the quarter to add more online sections for some key classes. There's definitely a push. What we're going to try to dial in a little bit closer into as we get our data back from student trends is, are students taking 2 classes on campus and they're supplementing it with an online class, or is it the opposite? Is it 2 classes online and 1 face-to-face? We're just trying to get a sense of where is that new normal, because I really do think it's a norm. It's a new norm, and I don't know that any college has really dialed it in yet to figure out what the student demand is.
Yeah, I think even the universities are still struggling with some of that too.
Yeah, and students are too. They're trying to figure out how to maximize their education. Convenience-wise, still managing work and home and kids and all of that, along with what's the most meaningful learning environment as well.
Demographically, maybe too early to speak to this, but what is the typical PC student this year looking like, age-wise? Where they're coming from.
Yeah, a little bit too early to tell on that kind of data.
Yeah. So the only reason I bring it up is that you kind of alluded to this. I think you also have the challenge at a community college of just that, people balancing their day job, so to speak, with this, even more so than someone who might be a traditional student who's going away to college. There's a lot of people that are trying to piece together a degree or a certification and still working, raising a family, all that.
Absolutely. So, prior to just not counting this fall, our average age is 28. So we're serving a lot of folks who have gone out, done life a bit, and then realized that they need some higher education to get them to become more employable. And then there's 16-year-olds who are in running start. And there's everything in between.
That's a very interesting dynamic, really. Because I've been up there for things, and classes are curious, because you'll have a 50-year-old mother who's just going back to school to try something new, and then you have a 16-year-old who's in high school in the same classroom.
And it is it is where a lot of magical learning happens. Typically, that returning adult is scared to death. They don't think they're going to belong. And they're always our best students. There's no question about it, because they've got life under their belt, and they're paying for their classes, and they know why they're there. So they're always our superstar students. And they quickly find it's not nearly as intimidating as they think it is. They find comfort in that classroom, even if they're the oldest one. And often they find out they're not the oldest one.
Yeah,
even.
Exactly. I've often thought back, I should have done a little life experience and then go back, because I think there's something to be said for that. Those people who say, well, I'm taking a break, and you rolled their eyes, they may have not had it entirely wrong in some ways.
College is hard.
Yeah.
So if you don't know why you're there, it's exponentially harder.
Yep. But I also say a place like Peninsula College is a great place to get answers for that, because you can do a little sampling of things and kind of find out where your groove is. So to speak.
Without breaking the bank, in a small classroom environment where faculty are there because they want to teach. So it is a great way to see if college is for you. And college is so different than high school that I just want everyone to to come and just figure that out, if nothing else, that this is nothing like high school. So come see how different it is, and see that it really is a place for you.
Now, that said, and then we're going to get into some what I think might be reasons that people might want to come again. Can people still enroll at this point? What's the how does this work? Because I think a lot of folks may say, well, I missed it for fall, so I'm going to have to wait a year.
Yeah, so January is when we start the next quarter. So it's not too early to come and meet with an advisor and make your plan for winter quarter.
And you can plug into a program even in January in a lot of cases, or at least get started.
Yeah, you can absolutely get started. Yeah. You can, even if you wanted a program that really does only start once a year, there are very few of those. You can always start off and take your gen eds and just get into the groove of what it means to be in school and start learning how to learn.
Right. Okay, so we talked about new programs, the build it and they will come thing. It seems to be working somewhat. So fill us in on what is there new this fall and maybe the impact it's having.
Yeah, so the one that I think I've talked about most often here that I'm so excited about has been natural resources. This is a program that's based out of Forks, and there are 18 students enrolled.
Which is really incredible, because I think that's well exceeding what you even thought might happen.
Absolutely. I mean, starting a new program, you tend to just have a little intestinal fortitude, say, okay, we'll get 5, maybe we'll get 7 students, and you don't start making a profit for a couple years. And so there's clearly a demand here. Yeah. This program is taught in what we call the high flex format. So you can physically go to Forks and take the classes. You can also tune in online wherever you're at, anywhere in the country, and take these classes. The faculty member will customize hands-on lab type experiments in whatever
wherever
community
you're
in.
Okay.
I just talked to him yesterday. There are students from Port Angeles to Sequim in these classes, and so far the days he's had hands-on learning demonstrations, everyone's gone out to Forks to partake in them with him directly.
Well, perhaps that's just, I think I'd want to. I mean, that's that's a time to engage with who's teaching the class.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right?
So,
one-on-one.
But if you
have an option.
If you can't, right? If you really are place bound and you're in Port Townsend or Chimicum, you can take this program and still be as engaged with the faculty member and the other students.
Now, 2 things that are interesting about this. This was definitely one that was, let's meet a demand, because the cry went out, we need people to be trained up to do these types of jobs, natural resources jobs. And this is the first time you've done something like this in the West End based, right?
Yeah. It's forestry and fisheries is the emphasis. So Department of Natural Resources, the West End tribes, they're desperate for people to come work in this industry. And to think that we're going to be able to reach folks who live in that economically depressed region with a really, really tight housing market, stay where you're living, and you've just exponentially increased your learning potential. The employers helped create the curriculum. They've told us that at the 1-year mark, there are jobs waiting for you from timber companies, DNR, the tribes. And it is a 2-year degree that you can continue to go back to school and build on what you're learning.
So you can take a job and then continue on with the education if need be.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
And then it will transfer to a bachelor's degree in environmental science. And once you're in there, then the options are endless. You can get a master's, you can get your PhD. it's just as high as you want to go.
Well, I'm glad your intestinal fortitude probably has eased a bit by getting 18 people into that class the first go round. That's good. It will only be because the word will get out.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. You know, when we start off at 18, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, right on. Okay, you get a BAS in behavioral health. This is a new one as well, and one we've talked about in the past. That it came from a real need to get people at a certain level in behavioral health so that we can fill some jobs. And actually, this has community impact as well.
Huge community impact. Wendy Sisk from Peninsula Behavioral Health has been asking for this program for years, and she's ecstatic to see it's finally getting off the ground. So prior to now this fall, we had the Addiction Studies program, which is an associate's degree. It's our second most popular professional technical program, but it's been a dead-end educational pathway. There's nothing beyond that 2-year degree. Now you can get a bachelor's degree in behavioral health, building on from that associate's degree. From there, you can get your master's in social work. All along the way, increasing your earning potential and filling jobs right here in our local community.
And that's key. You can get into this in, like the last program we talked about, relatively quickly. Get plugged into a career.
Yeah, the jobs, unfortunately, are in huge demand in this region. So the employers are lining up waiting to meet these students.
But filling that, well, the flip side, as I said, this is a benefit for the community because there's such a need. We're not getting a lot of people the treatment that they need. And this certainly can have a direct on the street sort of impact.
Absolutely, and it's really hard to recruit people from outside the area into this field. There's no housing. The salaries in this field are not as high as we wish they would be. That's just the reality of working in a social services type field. But the people who are in it are really, really passionate, so that we can match their passion with the ability to earn a higher wage and meet the need in the community. There's no losing here.
You got 17 in that program to start out of the gate.
Yep.
Much better than you thought, or about what you thought?
Right where I thought,
okay.
Given the fact that our addiction studies program is full, and every single one of our addiction studies students tells us they know that they need to go into this bachelor's degree.
So this is going to feed into this. These numbers will continue to be up.
For sure.
That's what it sounds like.
There's no question in my mind. Yep.
And then you got 43 in just a BAS program. Tell us about that, what that really means.
Yeah, so, when we open up an applied bachelor's degree, again, you never know who's going to show up. And so the fact that 43 students chose to go on and increase their earning potential is really exciting. There's also some breaking news. When I was sitting in the lobby waiting for the call today, the assistant dean emailed and said 48 more iBest students are coming this fall. So iBest is Integrated Basic Education and Skills Training. So last year, we significantly opened the door for students who weren't at college level yet. You might be learning English language, or you might have almost elementary school level math or English skills. And now with iBest, you take those classes and you also combine them with job training classes, welding, IT, as some examples, and you exponentially increase your learning and your ability to go get prepared for a job.
So what is that, to facilitate that for the college? So how do you deliver that type of programming? What does that mean for you?
So iBest is a Washington State model. We're a national leader in this, and I'll take welding as a perfect example. So in the welding lab, there are 2 faculty members. There's our welding faculty member, and there's our iBest support faculty member. So let's say the English that you're learning or the math that you're learning is contextualized and related to welding. And you learn that from your welding instructor. And then maybe for an extra hour a day, you go spend time with your supplemental support instructor to get that lesson retaught to you. Maybe taught to you a little bit slower, a chance to ask your follow-up questions. The data's off the charts. The students who go through iBest actually eventually earn a 2-year degree faster than students who start out at college-level classes because they've got the extra support structure.
Oh, absolutely.
Built in.
I mean, it's kind of like tutoring in some ways. I don't want to equate it to that, but it's similar.
It's a lot of hands-on support from a teacher, and the data is off the charts. So 48 more students than last year.
So is that a large proportion for some place like Peninsula College?
Yeah, to grow iBest that quickly is is a really good sign. It's where a lot of our community members are at. And so I'm really proud that we can offer that educational opportunity even when you're before you're college level ready. We'll get you to college level, but we need to help you get into the mix of education wherever level you're starting at.
So to get those slots, did that require some sort of a state approval? Tell me how you got so that you can bring in 48 more and continue on or grow this.
Yeah, we don't have to get state approval for iBest, other than we record it with the state that they're iBest students.
So otherwise, you just have to get it staffed. I mean, that becomes part of the issue. You got to get those other secondary instructors or support people. Well, congrats. It's a lot of folks.
Thanks.
And I think you do nail it. There's a lot of people, they fit into that. Yeah. And it's not just generally. There's just certain maybe even topics, if you will, in their education where they have some holes that need to be filled.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a lot of immigrants moving into the community that are learning English, and we need to get them the job training at the same time as well. More iBest tracks will be coming this year, and including one that we call Academic iBest. So you could get your 2-year transfer degree, but start off with the support structure of iBest.
Oh, that's tremendous. I wish I had that when I was there.
Right? Anyway. I needed it too in math for sure.
You and me both. Yeah. We're on the same page there.
We're journalists. We did that for a reason.
Okay, a couple of other things, and we'll take a break because we have some other news to tell you about as well. You've got some things coming in January. You got the electrical vehicle auto repair. This is one that's been on the boards. It had to be delayed just a bit, but it's coming in January. Is that right?
We're about ready to sign the dotted line with an amazing new faculty member who's super excited to teach some family ties back to the beginning days of Peninsula College with this individual, and we've raised the money that we needed to raise to open the electric vehicle auto repair lab, and we'll be ready to go in January.
And that runs kind of concurrently, right? You're going to teach auto repair, but also this has the kind of the add-on to this modern thing that we have electrical vehicles.
Yeah, students will learn combustion engines and electric vehicle at the same time.
And it's kind of a reinvigoration of a program that had long been there, but kind of got shelved for a while. I mean, reality.
Yeah, the program that we closed, I think in 2020, maybe, somewhere around there, really needed an infusion of new technology and new energy.
Well, certainly that's it, because all of those cars with batteries out there these days need a different kind of approach.
Yep. And our local employers are really excited.
And that's what I was going to say, is that this was a kind of hey, this is what we really need to have happen.
Right. So they totally revamped the curriculum with input from industry. And this is another one of those where they've told us there are jobs just after 2 quarters, just after 6 months.
Wow.
And there's jobs waiting in the industry.
So theoretically, you could sign up. You could get into this program in January when it launches. By summer, you could be employed doing the work.
Yep. Our local dealerships, local repair shops are ready for you.
Okay. That's it. Amazing, actually, isn't it? But it shows a bit of, I know, the direction you're hoping that the college takes in a lot of ways. Hey, this is what local industry says it needs. Here's the programming for it. Let's get people in there, trained up, and out and into the workforce as quickly as they can get it.
That's the whole plan.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a little break. Okay. I'll come back. I want to talk about, you got an anonymous donor, you got a little matching thing that's going on, I think is kind of exciting as well. Susie Ames, Dr. Susie Ames is my guest. She's the Peninsula College president. And we'll talk a bit more about what's happening up at PC right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on Newsradio KONP.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsberg is always adding to the list of things they provide to keep your vehicle looking brand new. The full detail shop is just one more service to check off that list. Not only will your interior and exterior shine, your engine will sparkle too. Red Carpet is also getting some winter upgrades, including new equipment in the manual bay and new vacuums. Call Kyle today and let him get you scheduled for your red carpet treatment Tuesday through Saturday. 360-461-0826.
Hello, this is Amanda Huff with Swim Valley and Harper Ridgeview Funeral Chapels. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a new, exciting, and environmentally friendly development in the funeral industry. It's called Natural Organic Reduction, or simply terramation. Perhaps you've heard of it. Terramation is a process in which the body, after death, is returned to the earth in a carbon-neutral, eco-friendly manner. The process takes place in a controlled environment, and all that remains is a natural, odorless, compost-like material. If you'd like more information about terramation and advanced planning, call us today at Harper Ridgeview in Port Angeles or Sequim Valley Chapel in Sequim, and one of our knowledgeable and caring funeral professionals will assist you in answering your questions. Harper Ridgeview and Sequim Valley Funeral Chapels, because your loved ones deserve the best.
Do you know when your septic system was last inspected? Clallam County Environmental Health keeps those records and can tell you. Pumping your septic and complete septic inspections by licensed professionals are two very different things. State law requires inspections every 1 to 3 years, depending on the system you have. Get more information about your septic system and inspection requirements by calling Clallam County Environmental Health 360-417-2258 or by logging on to clallam.net/septic.
Building your own house can be both an exciting and an overwhelming experience. The most important aspect of your new home's construction is to have the right relationships supporting you from the beginning. That's where the employee owners at Angelus Millwork and Hartnagels really shine. We've been supplying the highest quality building materials for homes on the Olympic Peninsula for over 100 years. We create relationships with our clients that are based on the right materials for their lifestyle and their budget, not our bottom line. After securing your property and your home builder, we invite you to visit one of our 6 contractor salespeople devoted solely to new home construction and remodels. They will help you and your builder make sure that all your materials maximize value, are ordered correctly, and are delivered on time. When clients partner with Angelus Millwork and Hartnagels to build their own home, we ensure that the process is filled with knowledge, tools, and materials to truly create the home you've been dreaming about for years.
Angelus Millwork and Hartnagel Building Supply. Building homes, building community since 1906.
Talk a little bit more with Susie Ames. She's the president at Peninsula College. We've talked about a great start to the academic year this year and new programs and all of that, and some things coming up as well. I guess we should touch on, there's a few others that are, before we get to some money things. Let's talk about, you've got, it's like dental hygienist program is still in the works, and a few others that are looming out there too.
So, we started with some low-hanging fruit and some programs that were pretty easy to gin up. Now we've left the big, heavy lifting ones. So we are working on securing funds so we can build a marine manufacturing program. We're applying for a couple of big grants that would allow us to build a boat literally from beginning to end, which would be super exciting. We are...
And huge demand, by the way, around here for that.
Oh, yeah. So many local employers can't wait to hire our graduates. Whether you learn all facets of the boat building or go deep into any one of them, the electronic side, the welding side, the finishing side, there's so many components to building a boat.
I mentioned dental hygiene. That's an interesting one because it's there aren't a lot of places you can go to get this degree. That's part of the issue, right?
Yeah, and there are only a handful of programs across the state, and none near here. I think Tacoma is the nearest one.
But it's a difficult one to get started, right? If I understood this, you'd have hope to get it going, but there's just so many I's to dot that it takes a while.
It is extremely expensive. It's a couple $1 million just to build the lab and with all the equipment inside of it. And then there's an external accrediting body that has very, very high standards, which is a good thing, but it takes time to meet their standards. So we are in progress. We are we have our sights on Congress. Senator Murray has us on her list for a federal appropriation for $1.9 million.
It'll go a long way to help build that.
It would. Congress is a bit of a mess right now, so we're also looking at other funding sources. So we're not just putting all our eggs in that basket, but it's a couple $1 million to get that one off the ground.
And that will be a type of program I think will draw not only locally but from regionally, I would think, just because of the lack of other places to get in.
Yeah, for sure. And if you've tried to get into your dentist lately, it can take an extremely enormous amount of time. So I know a lot of folks are already taking their prerequisite gen ed classes, so they can be ready to apply the minute our
get it done, get certified, and get out there.
Yeah, because there's great jobs right here.
Tell us about you got a teacher education bachelor's degree coming as well. We talked about this a number of months ago.
So that also has a separate external accrediting body, and so we are going through the approval process through the external accrediting body and with the State Board for Community Technical Colleges. That's all going well. We hope to start it as early as next September.
Okay. And that would be essentially you could become certified to teach K through 8th grade, right?
Yeah.
Essentially at Peninsula College.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. And, certainly out in our more rural elementary school, middle schools, they're desperate for teachers. And the idea that they could kind of grow their own and you could go back and teach in the school that you grew up in has a lot of appeal in our rural communities.
All right, one last one. You got one program, you're trying to speed it up. Yes. Tell us about medical assisting.
Yeah, so medical assisting is one where the demand is so huge.
Yeah.
And there's a program offered at Highline College that a lot of our local healthcare employers pay Highline College to get folks in from medical registered to medical certified. And we want to be able to do that program, so we get the money instead of Highline.
Well, not that you're competitive about anything, but I knew you'd say something like that.
So we got a grant from Olympic Community of Health to create this new program in line to support our local employers.
Why not? Right. Okay, speaking of money things, then let's go into you've got you're trying to reach an endowment of $1 million at the college through the foundation there, and you just got an anonymous donor. Tell us a bit about kind of where things are at. Kind of a significant gift that's going to help.
Really significant. Yep. So for about 5 years now, the Peninsula College Foundation has been raising money, looking for the goal of raising $1 million to create an endowment. When you have an endowment, then the college gets to spend the earnings, and the core of the endowment stays into perpetuity. And so the profits from this endowment will be specifically in what we call unrestricted dollars. It means for me as a college president, I would have an annual fund of unrestricted money. I can do whatever we want with it. And as I listed all of these new programs we started, they're all extremely expensive to start. And so we would have a fund built in to constantly keep our sights on the next thing, the next direction Peninsula College needs to go. And we'd be able to fund it.
And you got some money. And you can use it as seed money. It could be finish it up money. It could be anything like that. Yeah.
So we are really, really close to meeting that $1 million mark, which would seal in the endowment into perpetuity. And some really, really generous donors have created a matching fund. So if we raise $60,000 by December 31, it will be matched, and we will seal a deal, and this endowment will be created.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, word out.
Yeah.
If you'd like to help out Peninsula College, all things are being matched right now at up to $60,000. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things we like to share is every dollar that you donate to the Peninsula College Foundation has zero fees, and it goes directly to support the college. So it's a really great way to know that every dollar counts, and the opportunity to get it matched between now and December 31.
All right. So contact the college if you're interested, especially perhaps you're looking for this is could be a tax shelter in some ways for somebody if they want it as well. If they
for sure. Our foundation, our foundation is a 501c3, so they can contact the Peninsula College Foundation, and we'll be happy to walk you through the details.
See how I slid that in there for somebody who might have a lot of dollars that they're looking to. That might be a good place to put it. So,
absolutely.
That related too, though, is tell us about. You guys continuing to do just phenomenal things in helping out students. Lots of scholarships, lots of all this coming through the foundation as well.
Yeah, our foundation is so supportive of the college. Their primary mission is to raise money to support Peninsula College, and scholarships go a big way. Tuition is $6,000 a year, give or take. Which for some people sounds like nothing, and others that's just an astronomical amount of money. And we want to try to bring that burden down, so that everybody knows that college really is affordable. So we awarded almost 200 scholarships already this year. We're not even done. Mm-hmm. And this same donor that's creating the matching funds for the endowment also created a debt relief program. So let's say you were enrolled at Peninsula College and you had to drop out in years past, and you have a debt, you owe the college money. Well, these generous donors created a fund where that debt will be wiped free, and you can start at Peninsula College with a fresh slate.
How about that? Just simply contact the college then?
Yeah, there's a very, very small piece of paper that you fill out to explain what your debt was about and why, and we'll clear it for you.
And, that's significant. A lot of people, that has been a hurdle for them to get back to college, because sometimes life happens to people. And
sure. Yeah, and we try to catch people before they leave in that situation, but sometimes they walk away without asking for help, and this burden hangs over their head. So maybe you even owe a couple $100 for some books or a fine that you didn't pay. And then to think that might be the barrier from you going back to college is just too much. And these donors wanted to be able to make it as barrier-free as possible.
Susie, we've run out of time. There's more things we could touch on, so we'll just put that on the next time we get you down. All right, congrats on the new school year, and great things are happening as expected, I think, at Peninsula College.
Thanks very much.
All right,
it's going to be a great year.
We're going to take a break and be back to talk with Port Angeles Mayor Kate Dexter right after this.
Hi, this is Connie Beaufait. I'm running for re-election as Port Commissioner because I want a prosperous county, and our port is the economic driver that can get us there. I'll continue to make our port work for you. Developing the Marine Trades Industrial Park and promoting value-added wood products will create more family wage jobs to help our economy thrive. I ask for your vote this fall.
Paid for by Re-elect Connie for Port.
I'm Connie Beaufait, candidate for Port Commission. I approved this ad.
Would you like a beautiful new bathroom for the holidays? Hi, I'm Ursula Roytine for locally owned Bath Fitter. Bath Fitter just transformed my bathroom, and they can do the same for you in as little as 1 day. Get a new bathtub, safe walk-in shower, or tub-to-shower conversion now and pay 0 interest and make 0 payments until 2025. For nearly 40 years, Bath Fitter Northwest has done 40,000 local remodels. Hurry and book now and have a gorgeous new bathroom for the holidays. Go to bathfitternw.com.
Hey there, Don Reiling with Olympic Hot Tub. This month, during our 7th annual Founders Event, a portion of every hot tub and swim spa purchased will benefit Artist Trust. Now more than ever, it's critical we help sustain the amazing artists and arts organizations so vital to us in the Pacific Northwest, and you can help make a difference. Learn more at olympichottub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub. Building a future, sharing a dream, working together, we're on the same team.
At Straight View Credit Union, we know that buying a home is a big decision, and that's why we're committed to offering local decisions made by local decision makers. Our mortgage team is comprised of experienced professionals who are intimately familiar with the Clallam County housing market, ensuring that you get the personalized attention and expertise you deserve. We're here to help you navigate the home buying process and make the best decisions for your unique financial situation. Plus, as a member-owned cooperative, we prioritize the needs of our members and our local community over profits. That's why we're proud to offer great mortgage rates that help support our members' dreams of homeownership. Straight View Credit Union, your trusted local financial partner. Visit us online at svcu.com or stop by our branch on Lincoln Street in PA. Insured by NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
We belong to you.
All right, going to spend the next few minutes talking with Kate Dexter. She's mayor of Port Angeles. We get Kate in about once a month to talk about things at City Council and what's going on from their perspective there with the City Council. Kate, good to see you.
Good
as
to see
always.
you.
Thanks for coming down. Last night, City Council meeting had a lot of things to cover. One of the things I think, let's talk about fees, because that's been making the news a lot lately. Where do things stand? I know that the city staff had recommended perhaps holding off again on any of these increases and such, but where did the council land on fees and permit fees?
So last night we came into the second public hearing with a recommendation from staff to do a 2-year phase-in, but maintain the offset, the fee waivers for multifamily. And I just, while I'm saying that, would like to clarify, because I think it was unclear to people, the multifamily fee waivers is not limited to affordable housing, 80% AMI, any of that.
It's just generally.
Any multifamily housing. We need workforce housing. We need all sorts of things. Though lots of workforce folks need affordable housing too. And we want it to be affordable for everyone. We need more of all of it. So that would be the same. And then what it would mean is, if we did the phased-in approach, is waiting until the end of next year to think about hiring the natural resources and grants assistant planners. So those are both positions. It's sort of combining two requests that council has made, not in formal action, but in discussions about how do we maximize capacity and where do we think that should be, where should we be increasing capacity, ability to go after grants, especially with all the federal money that's available right now, having someone dedicated to doing that because they're so cumbersome, for lack of a better word, right now. And then there's been some requests among council members for a natural resources manager. So that position would be in part filled by the fees, and that would be moved out into next year.
So going to do it in a 2-year phase then? Is that what it sounds like? No vote yet.
We have not taken a vote.
Right.
There was a motion last night to, so we will vote. We closed the public hearing, but gave ourselves another meeting to think about input, read it, and then come back at the first meeting of November, which I will also just remind everyone is on Wednesday, November 8th.
Because it's after the Tuesday of the election, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
We don't meet if the first Tuesday is an election in November. So because it is, we will meet on Wednesday. So we will vote then. But we did make a motion last night, or council passed a motion to bring back both options, the phased and the original unphased approach, for consideration. And then also passed was a direction to update the ordinance to eliminate the 2-year expiration for the infill multi-household and affordable housing types, the waivers, to just make that a permanent thing.
Okay.
So that will again be up for discussion by council at the next meeting.
Was there sticker shock? You can only speak to you, but in general, when this came out, because I think a lot of people saw that and they're seeing like 1,000% increases in some fees. And so, what did Kate Dexter think when you saw that?
I mean, definitely, I think sticker shock is a good way to put it. Though, in the context of not having raised fees for 15 years, it's and knowing all the other things that we've been talking about on council when we look at our budget and how expensive things are now, not particularly surprising. And this isn't really the answer to your question, but one of the things that we asked for based on community input is, a lot of people were saying these fees are going to push people out. They're going to push the development out into the county. They're going to push it into SQUIM. And so one of the things that we did, and you can pick apart any example, but I thought it was useful, an example of what would all the fees be that you would pay for a I forget exactly what, a house that's valued just a little over $200,000 in Port Angeles, SQUIM, Clallam County, Jefferson County, and Port Townsend. And for the counties, of course, their structure is a little bit different, but both counties have septic requirements. So including the fact that you would not be able to tie into a sewer, you would have to build your own septic. What would those costs look like? And we're still the lowest, even with a full fee increase. So I think that's an important thing to consider. Does it mean we're all too high? I don't know, but I think it is prudent for us to be trying to capture the true cost of doing that business. And particularly, I know there are folks who have taken issue with using the term subsidy, but in order to provide those services, it is costing the general fund $1.1 million. And when we think about, okay, so what we're talking about is people who are building single family homes, but we also have people who are saying we need more police, we need more fire. And the taxpayers as a whole contribute to the general fund. So it's a matter of balancing those things. And I appreciate that staff has put a lot of work into it. I appreciate that we've had lots of input from the public, and particularly appreciate that it's, people have been really polite, and that's pretty typical, but hats off to our community for that. And so I don't think we'll land on a solution that everybody's happy with, but I hope we land on a solution that in the long term we look back and say that was the right decision.
Does the city council ponder a policy, though? Because a lot of people say, boy, maybe the problem in this is that they stayed that way for 15 years. Anything, incrementally increasing, it's a lot easier to tolerate than a 1,000% increase at once.
A really important, I'm glad you asked that question, because it reminded me that, yes, also built into this is that there would be an annual review.
Good.
Which also gives us, I think, the annual review also builds in the opportunity, because one of the things we've heard concerns about from people, and everyone has different experiences. So, but we've heard from a number of people that there are concerns that maybe things aren't very efficient, or it's taking a long time. And I haven't done anything where I needed a permit that took long. So I added a heat pump during COVID, and so it was all email and pretty straightforward. So I think because we've heard those concerns, it's reasonable for us to pay attention to that. Staff has addressed that on some level as well. So there's built-in mechanisms for looking at performance indicators, and then also if we look at the fees annually, there's sort of this regular reminder to just assess how we're doing.
Are we charging what we should be charging at this point for it? Yeah, because I've heard that from folks, even in the building sector, have said, we get it. That's part of doing our business, but maybe we need to make sure we're just making it incremental rather than in big chunks. So I also get the other argument was that, well, let's just keep it where it is so that we can try to entice people to, take advantage of a lower fee.
Yeah, we have had a council member say that.
Utility rates. You talked about that last night as well.
Yes.
That's a big bugaboo. I know it. I mean, this is a lot of people get concerned about this. So what does this look like?
So we did. One of the things we changed recently, just as a little bit of background civics, I guess, is we have changed the process. So it is now a resolution and not an ordinance. So it's a one reading, but it also goes to the utility advisory. The proposed rates go to utility advisory committee first, which includes citizen public. So we get that input in addition to council. So we did pass the rates last night. And so we didn't change any of the COSA. We only changed the fees based on cost, right? So COSA is cost of service analysis. I shouldn't use acronyms. So none of the assumptions in that changed. People will see there were no particular increases in electric. People will continue to see us trying to get to the place that we should be with base rate versus usage rates. And in order to be more fiscally responsible and solvent, we need to move more into the base rate to be truly covering the cost of providing the service. And then solid waste is really the one where there were some significant increases. And some of that, I think really most of that, we are in this period of having just taken over solid waste. I know we talked about that quite a bit. But also a lot has changed in the world of waste. Recycling, we had the China's, so I forget exactly what it's called, but the SWORD policy. So, they're not taking recycling. There's the cost of transport is just more expensive. Everything is more expensive, and we're capturing true costs. If anyone is looking at the examples that we give or at the fee structures, I think one of the things that staff pointed out, which is important for people to understand when we're looking at rates for county users or commercial users doing the tipping rates at the transfer station, the rates are the same, but when you pay for the pickup at your curb, the taxes are built in. So if you go in as a city resident, you're already, we can't double bill our trucks on taxes. And so there are some numbers that look off, but it's all about where we capture the taxes. So for county stuff and city stuff, it's the same. It's just those numbers look a little different because of that. So there were some increases in solid waste and then wastewater. I honestly don't remember right now because it was a long stormwater. Sorry. But I think stormwater is basically, small increases. I think it ends up being a pretty nominal, maybe about $25 a year for an average user overall. We always get examples, which I appreciate from staff, sort of a sample low electric consumption user, medium electric consumption. And actually, if you're a really high consumption user, you may see a little bit of a decrease because your consumption rate will
moving
go
out
down.
of the consumption and over to the base rate.
Exactly.
Right. Gotcha.
So I think it's not as complicated as it when I first started looking at it. I was like, I don't understand this. But anyway, so I would say very minor increases. We were able to offset electric cost increases with a credit we got from BPA for charge difference versus cost difference over the last couple of years. So we were able to use that to offset some of the electric increases. So I really appreciate our staff's commitment to doing our best to
it's
maintain
been policy
things being
in
affordable.
trying to not, avoid what was 10 years or so ago, where the city was making just, essentially really radical changes year to year on things because you just didn't know how you were going to pay to, provide the utility essentially.
Yes. And so I think we've done a good job of that, and there, as we go forward, probably will be increases. Everything is more expensive, but I think we're doing the best we can to remember that even though our rates are significantly lower than our comparison cities, when we look at how they relate to affordability, they're on the higher end because our median income is quite low. So, we really try to consider that when we're working through utility rates.
All right, before we run out of time, you have one other thing, budget revenue. This is kind of the first part of the budget process.
And that is a 50-slide presentation about all the revenue sources. Really, it's pretty interesting and frankly amazing what a great job Serena does of putting it all into a 50-slide presentation. And one of the things I appreciate and mentioned to her last night is she does different kinds of graphs. So depending on how people process information, you can see it in different ways to say, oh, okay, now I understand it. So of course it's deep and wide and always wish there was more revenue, but we're headed down the path of formal budget adoption, and last night was the first step of that.
Is revenue, I hate to say comfortable, uncomfortable, but how would you say it after looking at that presentation?
I think it's where we all expect it to be. We certainly don't have surpluses. We don't have. I remember sitting through the similar presentation in SQUIM, and it's like, man, they have all these big box stores, and especially during COVID, those didn't shut down. But we're seeing reasonable sales tax revenues, partly, which is interesting and not necessarily. That's a whole nother topic. A significant increase in online sales, so that has helped because. I don't remember when that changed, but in fairly recent past, before that, we weren't collecting any sales tax on online sales. And now Prime Day helps a boost because everyone buys stuff on Amazon, and then we are collecting that sales tax.
Because
based on delivery.
So you might as well. We'd love people to buy local, but
exactly.
At least
That's
you're
why I
getting
say it's a
something
whole
out of it.
different discussion, but.
Anyway, and I'm sure we're going to be chatting a bit more with Nathan too as we head through this budget thing the next time we have in as well. I know you wanted to mention one other thing that happened last night. It was kind of really a dark thing.
Yes.
Online.
Yes.
You described this. You had some hate speech that showed up on the virtual part of the meeting.
We did. Yeah. So there were a few people who joined the meeting virtually and made some really vile hate speech, and it was very disturbing. And I think particularly, Port Angeles is a welcoming and inclusive community, and I think we pride ourselves on that. And so I think we all know inherently, but I think it's worth reminding people that, hate speech is inexcusable in any setting. So not just council, but I think I'm hoping that the community will join us in calling out hate speech when they hear it, and making sure that we do our best to make it clear to people that it's not acceptable anywhere. But
describe for folks kind of what happened last night without getting too much into it.
So we had a few people join virtually and sort of spoke out of turn initially in a public hearing. I said, well, at that point there hadn't been any indication that it was anything other than sort of a random comment that wasn't really related to council, but we generally don't restrict that. So I said, no, this is not the time to be speaking. It's later. And I don't remember exactly the order of things, but we had at one point someone was unmuted or was able to be unmuted during one of the public hearings and shouted out some really inappropriate words. And then fast forward to public comment. I think one made it through with just really disturbing discussions, and then another one ended with some hate speech, which we is out of order and therefore is immediately muted.
Categorized as mostly like white supremacists. I mean,
Yes.
how would that be?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I
kind
would
of
say yes.
All right, very interesting. And maybe a risk that happens with this virtual sort of thing. People
is,
can
and
jump on there.
It is, and it's part of the reason why initially we went with WebEx, because there are a lot more controls in WebEx, and people weren't using it as much, so people were Zoom bombing and stuff like that, and we didn't really have that, and so. I mean, I guess we're fortunate that we've made it this far without anyone. Why we were targeted, I don't.
Do you think these folks were local?
I do not.
Yeah.
I don't believe they were local. Though we don't have any way to prove that, and we can't see IP addresses or anything like that. So, I think we'll have some further discussion about how do we handle that in the future. And, public comment is the bar is really high for cutting people off in public comment, but hate speech absolutely is always unacceptable and is definitely beyond the...
Tough for you, though, because you're the one who does the cutoff part of this thing in some ways, and so you're kind of wondering, what is happening here?
Yes, and I think that was the initial, my initial reaction is sort of shock of like, wait, what's happening? And So my goal after this is a little more training for myself about where and how we can, like, when can we just say you've lost, we're done.
That's it.
You're done. Yeah.
Right.
And so definitely the hate speech, but there was some, speaking again kind of questions. And anyway, so we will, I think, address that internally and then and hope that doesn't happen again, and hope that other people also will call it out and continue to take a stand against hate speech.
I'd be curious, and not that this is an assignment in any sense, but if other municipalities are having some similar issues with things like that when they do these hybrid meetings.
I suspect so, and I think part of the reason that this is my own assessment of myself. There was initial discussion related to the conflict in the Middle East, and so I think a few weeks ago it would have been very out of context and would have raised some alarms a little bit earlier than it did because of what's happening. And there was some discussion, there was some comment about that. And so I think I don't have confirmation, but spoke with staff this morning. I think it is our intention to put a trigger warning on the audio and video recordings of the meeting because the comments were pretty disturbing. And I don't want someone to be watching the meeting and not be aware that is coming.
All right. Kate, always great to talk to you. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Kate Dexter's Mayor of Port Angeles. That's going to put the wraps on our show. News is coming up next.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsberg is always adding to the list of things they provide to keep your vehicle looking brand new. The full detail shop is just one more service to check off that list. Not only will your interior and exterior shine, your engine will sparkle too. Red Carpet is also getting some winter upgrades, including new equipment in the manual bay and new vacuums. Call Kyle today and let him get you scheduled for your red carpet treatment Tuesday through Saturday. 360-461-0826.
Medicare open enrollment is here October 15 through December 7th, and if you're like most people on Medicare, you have questions. The statewide health insurance benefits advisors, known as SHEBA, can help inform you of your Medicare rights and options and see if you qualify for help with cost. SHEBA is a free, unbiased service provided by the Washington State Office of Insurance Commissioner. Get help today. Call SHEBA 1-800-562-6900 or visit insurance.wa.gov.
As leaves fall and temperatures drop, that means cold and flu season is here. But don't worry, the best defense is a good offense, and we have 2 ways to keep you healthy. First, regular hand washing can help keep cold and flu viruses at bay. Second, protect yourself and your loved ones by getting your flu shot. It's safe, it's effective, and it's your best bet against the flu. So, wash those hands, get a flu vaccine, and let's beat the cold and flu together. Brought to you by Olympic Medical Center.
Everwarm Hearth & Home are installing new stoves and fireplaces all over the peninsula. Look ahead to extra warmth this season and order yours now. Here's Andrew Thomas from Everwarm.
Here on the peninsula, it's never quite as warm as we want it to be, but you can control the temperature inside by coming into Everwarm Hearth & Home and getting yourself a fireplace or wood stove to keep the heat nice and hot during those cold winter months.
Call 452-3366 or go to everwarmhh.com.
President Biden delivering remarks in Tel Aviv showing continued support for Israel amid its war with Hamas.
Hamas committed atrocities that recall the worst ravages of ISIS unleashing pure, unadulterated evil upon the world. There's no rationalizing it, no excusing it.
The president says the U.S. has been by Israel's side since the country's founding 75 years ago and will continue to be. President Biden also citing the Holocaust during remarks made minutes ago.
The world watched then, it knew, and the world did nothing. We will not stand by and do nothing again. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever.
His scheduled meetings with Arab leaders on this trip, which were to be held in Jordan, have been canceled following that blast at a Gaza hospital. Gaza blames Israeli airstrikes for the blast. Israel says it was caused by a misfired rocket from Islamic Jihad. With continuing coverage, I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
National Kerostan Month is underway now at McCrory Carpet One, with prices starting at just $2.99 a square foot for carpet and $4.99 a square foot for LVP. If you desire timeless flooring for your home or business, Kerostan flooring is flawless, long-lasting, and made for a life lived beautifully. Right now, get 12 months of 0% financing OAC